What is up? This is the Leafs Convo podcast presented by Oakridge Ford in London, oakridgeford.com. I'm Norm James along with Mike Jello. Michael, good to talk to you again. The Leafs 0-2 in preseason. That's okay. A nice trip down memory lane in the capital city. Connor Brown, Tyler Ennis, Ron Hainsey. Oh, remember when?
Yeah, it's like a Leafs old timers game. A good afternoon, Norman.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I don't think there should be any kind of panic because the Leafs are 0-2 against the Senators. I mean, the Senators are probably playing closer to a lineup that's going to be theirs in the regular season, while the Leafs have a split squad of 54 players that they're going to cut down probably later this week. I think there were some good individual performances and some bad ones, and that's what we're going to talk about over the next few minutes.
When it comes to the preseason, I just want to see incremental, if not maybe expeditious, improvement in what these guys are doing, because the early part of October and the start of the new season is right around the corner.
Yeah, and I think we saw some incremental moves up by some players, but like if you looked at the defense in the two games, the two players that sort of stood out for me were Teemu Kevihelmi, who played well at the Traverse City prospect tournament. And he's 24 years old, so he should have stood out at that tournament. But he played well last night, showed some mobility and some good puck sense. I thought Jordan Schmaltz in the game in St. John's played really well. But if you look, other than young guys like Liljegren and Sandin, who have a lot of potential, but I think the aim for the Leafs will be to keep them in the Marlies, at least at the start of the season. All the veteran guys, all the hole pluggers that they either brought in or brought back, Marinson, Hall, Harper, Kevin Gravel, didn't impress me at all. They really played, I thought, pretty badly, and that's not a good sign 2 games into the exhibition schedule.
Mike, it's never too early to disparage Martin Marinson. Is it too early, though, to start fawning over Austin Matthews?
No, I mean he was fantastic in the game last night. 2 goals. His shot appears to be stronger and better, and that's a sign that the 50 goal plateau, if he can stay healthy, is not out of the question. I mean, I've heard other radio shows talk about who's going to score more goals, Alex Ovechkin and Matthews, and Matthews is getting more picks than not. So
yeah, why not?
I think it's encouraging, and obviously it can't be all him. It's going to have to be a lot of other players kicking in, but Austin Matthews looks really good right now.
And William Nylander has 2 assists. So he's most likely statistically the best player in the preseason.
Yes.
Okay, so we let's get that out of the way. We all know that.
Yeah, and every time I see 88, I think of Eric Lindros. Yeah, and I'm always mistaking the two.
I don't think many Nylander fans know who Eric Lindros is. It starts and ends with the bearded one. We have more preseason games to go, Mike. What do you want to see from the blue and white as we get closer to the beginning of October and the start of the new regular season?
Well, I think that the players that are fighting for jobs really need to step up. I've observed and I've heard other people comment on the fact that there doesn't seem to be a lot of motivation there. I know Nick Shore scored a goal yesterday, and there's been some pretty decent performers. I mean, in spite of the fact that the guy can't score, Freddie Gauthier did have a good game against Ottawa in St. John's. I thought Spezza looked great, although Mike Babcock keeps making comments about him like he doesn't know what he's doing or doesn't have an idea of what a fourth line center is going to be. I think Spezza played well. Trevor Moore played well. The interesting battle, I think, is for the wings on the fourth line, and it could be guys like Pierre Engvall or Ilya Mikheyev. Igor Korshkov. I mean, there's 5 or 6 players that are competing for 2 or 3 spots. And the thing is, it's like they're not going to be on this roster if they don't make the starting roster, because more than likely Kyle Dubas, because of the cap constraints after the Marner contract, is probably going to only carry 20 or 21 players.
Yeah. Speaking of Marner, that first game in Newfoundland, he made a nice play from behind the net. Standard Marner, typical Marner, first regular preseason game of the year. Sure, he's got a long way to go, but we're seeing the Matthews of old and the potential of what he can bring us anew. Mitch Marner's in that same boat. There's going to be a lot expected of these guys. I mean, not just a lot, but a lot, and rightfully so. They're talented.
Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, there was a a rather horrendous giveaway on the game-winning goal. And again, it's preseason, so you cut a player some slack. But the critique on social media was just as heated in the negative for that play as it was in the positive on Kapanen's goal. So, I mean, maybe that means that the $11 million or close to $11 million contract is going to make more skeptics when it comes to Mitch Marner. But, I mean, I thought he looked really good. And then, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but are we not here to emphasize the positive in the preseason, Mike? And that's the thing. Like, it's Austin Matthews scores 3 goals and then gives the puck away and they lose a stupid preseason game that really means nothing. Why are we harping on that giveaway? Those giveaways aren't going to happen that much, but he's going to score a ton of goals. On Marner, I'm thinking of a guy that's had a bit of a tumultuous offseason, doing Marner things. That Marner giveaway, that's not like Marner. I mean, the guy's a defensive whiz too, right? So that kind of stuff, you shouldn't expect to see much of, if any, during the regular season. But the glimpses of what we have come to expect from him and what we're expecting more of, that's what I want to focus on. Shoot me, get at me in the comments section, whatever. I'm trying to be as kumbaya as possible right now because there's a lot of reasons to be.
Well, it was definitely uncharacteristic of Marner, who is known for his two-way play. The one area that I was sort of concerned with, and again, these are not the players that are going to sort of fit in when it's down to 21 or 22 players on the roster, is the penalty kill. When you have 3/4 of your penalty kill, Zaitsev, Hainsey, and Connor Brown on another team, and it looked like they used Marner. The pairing on the one day was Muzzin and Marinson. I don't know who's going to factor in on the PK. It's going to be important for this team to improve on their penalty killing, and again, that might be the early benefit of Marinson. He may play 5-6 minutes 5-on-5, but he may be like taking over for Hainsey in terms of playing a full 2 minutes when the team is shorthanded.
Go specialize, Martin. If you can specialize and become a shutdown guy in situations that are not aplenty but crucial, we'll start loving you. Here's your opportunity. You can't do anything else. Focus and specialize and get things done that way. Mike, the preseason, man, it's all about preseason. It's all about honing and fine-tuning and figuring things out, giving guys opportunities. I'm expecting 110 plus points from this team in the season ahead. I don't know anybody who shouldn't or who doesn't think that the Leafs are going to be really good. We know already. And if you flip back 1 year, we already know, and we're saying the same things that we were saying preseason last year. This team will be dominant at times, have struggles, but in the end be among the top teams in the league. I'm already looking towards the first round against probably Boston and beating the Bruins eventually, right? I mean, there's a lot of expectations on this team. Right now, it's all about just trying to figure out how you're going to categorize your players, how you're going to utilize your players, and go fulfill those expectations and beyond. Last word to you.
I think the 2 critical battles to watch in the next 2 games against Buffalo will be the fourth-line center battle between Spezza and Gauthier. I think Spezza is somebody who wins that job, and I just can't see Gauthier as a winger on the fourth line, so that would mean Gauthier probably ends up with the Marlies. With the backup goaltender battle, Michael Neuwirth has not practiced in the last few days. He has had health problems the last couple of years, and Hutchinson looked okay, but not great. I mean, goaltending, they need a backup goaltender to play at least 25 games for this team. And if they don't have it on their roster, that might be something that they have to go out and claim on waivers or make a trade for.
On the Carson Show, because you're old enough to remember the Carson Show. Sorry, I had to take a dig at you there. But what was the oracle or the genie?
Karnak.
So
Karnak the Magnificent.
So you're playing Karnak for us.
Mm-hmm.
Are the Leafs stricken with injury issues this year? Is this going to be a season where it's Austin Matthews on fire and then he gets hurt? Michael Neuwirth is great when he's around. One of the guys who's usually durable, like a Marner or Tavares, goes down. Don't prognosticate just to make everybody throw up. But do you feel like maybe this is one of those, we're going to run into this? And I guess the condition here is, will it send the Leafs season that could be sideways?
Well, I mean, all teams have injuries. It's just a question of degree. If you look at teams like in other sports, like the New York Yankees, who have withstood 20 plus injuries this year
Yeah, they
and still
have.
had still have 100 victories. I mean, it's all how you deal with them. I mean, the one thing that this team has is depth, but if you lose a Tavares or a Matthews or more importantly a Morgan Riley or Tyson Berry on defense, does this team have the depth to
Mm.
withstand that? We'll see, but you can't. Yeah, you can't predict it. I mean, I'm not Nostradamus.
How about Grichuk's grand slam with 2 outs last night? That's not bad. 30 home runs. He said it's still hitting 233. Look, if the Jays get pitching in the offseason, they're going to be a fun team to watch upset a lot of teams, because that young core is pretty sick. You got to admit.
Yeah, it's gonna take them a couple of years to get that staff, but once they do, they'll be very competitive.
Very competitive. Give me some young players on the Yankees, like young, who are at that level of Bo Bichette or Vladimir.
Gleyber Torres is
maybe.
22 years old.
Maybe. But these guys are sick, and they're good players. The thing is, you have to have pitching. The Jays have zero pitching whatsoever. It's going to take time. We all understand that. But can you imagine this team in about 2 or 3 years with decent pitching, right? And then obviously defensively, they got to be a lot better too. I don't know. You brought up baseball. You brought it up, Mike. It's your fault. Michael, thank you.
Thanks, Norman.